This is from the Tokyo Marathon 2024, the marathon where I got my PB of 3 hours 46 minutes, a PB that still stands today. But the really interesting thing is that right through that entire marathon, I had absolutely no idea I was on for a marathon PB. I had no idea of the pace that I was doing. I did something that I've never ever done before in that Tokyo Marathon. And I guess this video may be useful if you're just about to run your first marathon, or maybe you're attempting your second or third marathon and you want to improve on your first marathon. Maybe you're fixated on paces and times and finishing times, and you're a little bit concerned about how that's going to play out, how it's going to pan out, especially at the start. What if you don't hit those required paces? How is that going to affect ultimately your finishing time and your marathon experience? So for Tokyo Marathon, I went into that after doing a 14-week training block, did all my different types of runs, different durations, different intensities. I had a good 2-week taper period, 2 days out from the Tokyo Marathon. I had lots of rest and recovery and sleep. But a day or two before the marathon, I remember doing a shakeout run, a 5K shakeout run. And on that run, I realised that my GPS on my watch was completely off. It was wonky. It was just not accurate at all. My paces were not right. Even the duration and the distance of the run was just completely incorrect. So I made a decision pretty much there and then that I thought that would make me more stressed in the marathon. So I made the decision of turning off all of the pace settings on my watch. I didn't want to know what pace I was doing through the marathon. And it was a risk. It was a real big risk because obviously, like a lot of you use your running watch in your training and it's your guide on the side and it gives you an indication of where you're at, and it can spew out some estimated or predicted finishing times for your marathon. So it was a risk. I was slightly concerned about whether that would impact me negatively, not knowing what I was doing in that kilometre in terms of pace. So when I started the Tokyo Marathon, and I think another factor that really helped was the weather. It was really cold. But when I started the marathon, I had two watch faces on my watch, or two watch screens. One of them was just going to be elapsed time. And the second one, which was going to be hidden, did have a couple of pace metrics, just in case I wanted to have a quick peek at what I was doing. But I started that marathon with just the time on the watch screen. And the Tokyo Marathon, if you've ever run it, you'll know it's really, really busy at the start. I mean, I don't think I've ever run in a marathon that's been busy from the start till around about 12, 13K. I had runners literally right in front of me, behind me, to my left, to my right. I couldn't weave, I couldn't duck and dive out of their way. I couldn't even go faster if I wanted to. And I think not having the pace, the predicted pace, the expected pace, the estimated finishing time, even at the start, really helped, because I think if I had seen the pace I was meant to be doing to the pace I was actually doing, I just think that would have added extra unnecessary pressure. So not having that visible on my watch just removed that extra distraction. I had no idea what pace I was doing. I had an inkling that I was probably doing slower than I planned or trained for. But as you know, if you've ever ran a marathon before, the first 10K, 12K, it's all about just finding your feet, getting things moving. You shouldn't really be too concerned about your pace at that point, especially if you're a new beginner marathon runner. And as the marathon wore on, with my time only on the screen, another thing that not having all of the data on my watch gave me was, it gave me more mental space. And I talk about this in other videos on my channel. I call it marathon mental fatigue, especially at the start of the marathon and maybe near the end of the marathon. There are a lot of things going on in your mind, a lot of audio and visual things, the adrenaline, the excitement, the nervousness, the crowds, the other runners. There are a lot of things that are taking up space in your mind. And not having that data on my watch was just something that was just not in my mind because I didn't even know what pace I was doing. So it kind of made me force to look inwards, to improve and look and analyse my running form, my running posture, my cadence, my breathing, body checks, rather than fixating on times and paces every 5 minutes. Because obviously, if you have been on a run with your watch, how many times do you look at your watch during your run? Probably every couple of minutes, maybe every kilometre or 5 kilometres if it's a longer run. But because I wasn't constantly looking at the watch and then working out whether I was on target, off target, whether I should improve, get faster, go slower, all that was taken away. I could focus on what running a marathon is all about, making sure your body is ready. And if you've ever ran a couple of marathons and you've been through a few marathon training blocks, you'll probably know that over time, you'll become familiar. Your body will become familiar with different types of paces. You'll get used to running at 6 minute per kilometre pace compared to 5 minute, 30 minute per kilometre pace, or even 5 minute per kilometre pace. Over time, you'll start to recognise those different paces automatically. And you would have heard of the phrase, run to feel or run to effort. Over time, you do start to pick up the traits of different paces. And that's kind of what I was hoping would happen in the Tokyo Marathon. And you'll see some stats on the screen here. So I was completely blind to these paces. All of these paces from 5K, 10K, 15K, I had no idea whether I was hitting those paces or not. I had a rough idea, just the way I felt, the way I was running, the way I was feeling, the way I was breathing, but I didn't have a concrete idea. Yes, I could see the distance markers, I could see the time, so I could briefly work out whether I was completely bang on target, completely off target, but I didn't have an idea of exactly where I was or how I'd finish. And another thing that really, really helped, not having to look at my watch every 5 minutes, every kilometre or two, was I could really focus on hydration and fueling. So every 5 kilometre mark or at every aid station, I would take fuel and water. So hydration and fueling, I think, was really honed in on because I didn't have to worry about paces. So I was just thinking about two things, fueling and how I was running and how I was feeling, which I think are two most important things when you're running a marathon. And my idea was to reach maybe the halfway mark and just have a look at my watch, maybe flick that screen around so I could see the paces. And I did, around the halfway mark, 21K, I flicked the screen. I was pretty much where I should have been during a half marathon stage, probably ahead of time. What I then did, because it went so well, because I felt so good, I actually just turned my watch around. I didn't even concern myself anymore with those paces. I knew in my mind that I was on target. So for the next 20K, I had no visibility, apart from the last 1 kilometre. That last 1 kilometre over those cobbled streets of Tokyo, did I look at my watch and did I realise that I was going to pretty much break my marathon PB. So I guess I mentioned this, I made this video just in case if you're fixated on paces and you're worried that you may not hit those paces, especially if it's your first marathon. I've been there. I've had 1 or 2 marathons right at the start of my marathon journey where I've been absolutely fixated on paces and I've worried and concerned myself whether I would be hitting those paces at the start. Could I maintain it? Would I be negative splitting? Would I be positive splitting? And all these numbers were flown around in my head during training and during the marathon. But that one marathon experience, my marathon PB, I had no visibility of pace, but it was still my best ever marathon time. And I actually felt the best. One other thing that I did notice, and you'll see the stats on the screen here, the wall, the moment we all kind of dread or expect to happen in the marathon, 30K, 32 kilometres. It just didn't happen. And I think that was partly down to fueling, partly down to marathon pace training, but I actually genuinely believe it was partly down that I wasn't constantly looking at my watch, looking at those kilometre markers, looking at my pace, expecting the war to come. It was just one set of data that I didn't have access to or visibility to. And I just think that helped negate the fear of the war. And I do this now in some of my runs now, my training runs, especially if it's an easy run or maybe a long run where pace isn't important. I just flip the watch screen. I don't look at paces or times, or I turn my watch around. And it really does help. It does bring running back to its roots. I'm not saying, ditch your watch completely, don't take your watch on your run, or don't look at the data. I'm a big running data nerd. I love data. And I all know it's always there, it's always accessible, but maybe after a run rather than during a run. So I hope you like that video. If you have, click on that subscribe button, give it a quick like and give me a comment down below. Do you ever go on a run? Have you ever run a marathon without knowing your paces? Have you turned your watch off? Have you ditched your watch? Or are you one of those people that likes to keep an eye on your pace throughout the marathon? Let me know down below in the comments. And until the next one, I'll see you very soon.